Today I'm going to show you why your retirement number actually does not make any sense. You know, that seemingly magical figure that financial media keeps telling you that you need to hit before you can comfortably retire. Well, after years of helping people retire, I've discovered that the traditional approach to retirement planning, which is focused on hitting a specific savings target, that figure is fundamentally flawed and it causes unnecessary anxiety for most people nearing retirement. And that's exactly why I'm making this video for you today. To show you why your retirement number might not make as much sense as you think. And also, I want to introduce to you a more effective approach that will give you the confidence that you truly need to retire confidently. So let's get right into it. Retirement number anxiety, this happens when people fixate on hitting an arbitrary savings target while ignoring all of the personalized factors that actually determine retirement success. This creates a perpetual cycle of worry where you're constantly wondering if you've saved enough, regardless of how much you've actually accumulated for retirement. Financial media and traditional advisors, they push a one-size-fits-all retirement number that creates unnecessary fear and delays retirement for many Americans today. People are so fixated on hitting this specific savings targets, like say $1 million or $2 million, because this is what they have been taught through multiple sources. You see, you need to understand that retirement is about income, not about assets. The numbers focus approach that is pushed, it benefits the financial industry more than it benefits individual retirees, because the more money that you have, the more income that the industry can make. It also allows your retirement to be benchmarked against a specific number that has nothing to do with your individual needs or wants. And what happens when you're constantly measuring yourself against an arbitrary target that's unrelated to your actual needs? Well, you end up working longer than you have to trying to reach that target. My goal with my clients is to never have you work a day longer than you have to, or to feel any anxiety about retirement whatsoever. In order to get to that point, we have to have a plan in place. That's exactly where my Red Zone retirement planning process comes to play. I teach about this extensively in my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan. Part of my process is figuring out what your individual needs and your individual wants are. Once we figure those things out, it helps us to keep the savings obsession out of your mind. So you go from a numbers-focused mindset to an income-focused mindset based upon your individual goals. The retirement number approach, it ignores your personal circumstances and your unique vision about what you want your future retirement to look like. We don't want that for you. You see, a couple where I live in rural Nebraska, they face completely different retirement needs than someone, say, in San Francisco or LA, for example. Their basic living expenses in LA are going to be a lot higher than we're going to have in Nebraska. And of course, your wants are probably going to be different too, no matter where you live. Of course, the goals that individual retirees will have are going to vary widely as well. And if you just focus on a generic number and you ignore all these other outside factors, it makes no sense at all to factor that into your individual retirement number. The special retirement number, it doesn't account for all of these crucial variables that I just talked about, such as your needs, your wants, your lifestyle, taxes, cost of living, what family support do you have to provide, what's your medical status, do you have medical issues? It doesn't account for inflation, cost of living, travel, hobbies, and of course, the big one, longevity. That's exactly why all of these different retirement calculators that you see online, they produce such different and wildly varying results for the same individual person. Each individual retirement is so different from another one. You need to look for a more personalized approach. Now, if you feel like you've been approaching your retirement number incorrectly, just click the first link in the description below to fill out a complimentary questionnaire. Afterwards, I'll send you a personalized video breaking down exactly what targets you need to hit based upon your individual situation. Now, let me tell you why your retirement number doesn't make sense. Typically, there are three fundamental misconceptions that cause pre-retirees to become fixated on this arbitrary retirement number. They are the magic number fallacy, the accumulation obsession, and third, the account balance timing myth. These beliefs are so deeply ingrained in our financial culture that most people, they never question them at all, which is wrong. Yet they're responsible for keeping thousands of potential retirees working years longer than they have to. The first major misconception is that there's a universal magic number that everyone has to hit before retiring. Now, when I say magic number, I'm referring again to those round figures that are always used, like $1 million or $2 million. They're constantly publicized and promoted as retirement targets that you have to fit. This is wrong, I'll just tell you that. This one-size-fits-all approach completely ignores your individual circumstances. The retirement number approach, it's actually backwards because it starts with savings amount rather than your lifestyle needs. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the saying, don't put the cart in front of the horse. And honestly, when you think about this from a visual standpoint, it makes no sense. The horse pulls the cart. So the cart would be behind the horse, right? So you put the horse in front. Well, honestly, this is the exact same for retirement. You don't start with savings before your needs. Again, visually, this makes no sense at all. You have to figure out what your individual needs and wants are, what you want from your retirement. Then you have to figure out how much money you need to reach those goals. This is the right way to do it, like putting the horse in front of the cart, right? This is exactly what I teach in my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan. The next misconception is the accumulation obsession. This is always focusing on what your values in your account are, and doing this is going to cause you to work longer than you might have to. Trust me. I've seen this time and time again with clients. There is a massive mental shift that you have to make to go from saving to spending. And if you don't have the right retirement plan in place, it's close to impossible for some people to retire and start to spend their savings. You see, in retirement, you have to focus on your income and your lifestyle. And then when we go through our planning process, we bulletproof your retirement plan to account for inflation, market risk, longevity risk, long-term care risk, and legal risk. Once we bulletproof your plan, once our clients, they're actually able to find some peace because they're not always checking up on their number, even if they were so fixated on it before. Because that obsession, it has a real psychological barrier that keeps you working longer than you have to. But when I have that mental shift with clients to show them that you're going to have enough income to last your whole life, we've accounted for all these risks that you could have, it helps them have that big mental shift to go from saving to spending. This is what leads me to the last misconception that some people also have, which is called the account balance timing myth, which is finding that perfect time to retire. So in some people's mind, they think that I have to wait till my account value hits this, or the stock market's at this level before I'm able to retire. In reality, you might not ever get there. And here's how I coach my clients on this. You can always work another year, or you can always save more money, or delay retirement if you have to. But if you want to retire, we can help you determine first off what your needs and wants are, and then we can back into the numbers to see if you have enough saved to be able to retire on your own terms. There's always going to be something going on in the stock market, just like we're having these tariff issues right now. You know, we could have COVID years, we could have housing crisis, we could have a dot-com bubble. It's never going to be a perfect time to retire if you're fixated on this magic number or if you listen to the financial media. What you should do instead is you should focus on your individual goals and stick to the plan that you've created with your CFP. That is how you're able to finally retire with confidence. And people that go through our Red Zone retirement planning process find this easily done once they've marked all the boxes and they've accounted for every risk that they can find in retirement. You see, these misconceptions about retirement numbers, the magic number fallacy, the accumulation obsession, and the account balance timing myth, they all create the same problem. They create the problem that's going to prevent you from confidently knowing when you can retire. But here's the good news. There's a much better way to approach retirement planning that addresses the real need for certainty, and it's called the Red Zone retirement planning process. The conventional approach that I've been speaking about, it has the relationship between savings and retirement readiness actually backwards. And here's the truth about retirement planning. It's actually honestly quite simple. Understanding what you want to spend is far more important than obsessing over how much to save or how much you have. When you start with your retirement goals, your lifestyle goals, what you want your life to look like and what that will cost, we back into the equation to create a clear retirement timeline using the assets that you have to last that entire timeline. Lifestyle first planning, it reverses the traditional retirement planning approach. Starting with your desired lifestyle, rather than an arbitrary savings target, it creates immediate clarity for the clients that we work with because you're going to be able to actually see your current and your future income lasting your whole life. This gives our clients peace of mind knowing that you're going to have paychecks in retirement just like you had during your working years. And in addition to that, you won't have anxiety about the stock market in retirement because in our process, we get your fixed income needs covered by fixed income sources. And here's what I'm talking about here. Things like your food, your shelter, clothing, basic living cost, we get those things in our process covered by fixed income sources like pensions, Social Security, dividends from portfolios, or income annuities. Then what we do in our process, we have at least 12 to 18 months cash on hand to cover the wants that you have in case there's a down stock market. So things like travel, leisure, going out to eat, doing things that you usually wouldn't do, we have enough cash on hand to cover those costs for 12 to 18 months if the market is down. But if the market's positive, then we pay for your wants from those stock investments. Your retirement number becomes personalized and meaningful when we derive it from the goals that you have for your individual situation. And things become a lot clearer and more organized at this point as well, because it's a personalized plan working with a trusted advisor who's there to walk hand in hand to retirement and through retirement with you. You're not just getting some generic advice or from an online calculator. This is unique to your individual circumstances, our process is. Once this is complete, our clients have peace of mind knowing that their needs are taken care of and that we have a plan to fund their wants as well. Now that you understand why the traditional retirement number approach doesn't make any sense and how lifestyle first planning creates clarity, let's look at exactly how you can implement this approach in your own retirement planning process. Lifestyle first planning, it starts with getting crystal clear about what you want your retirement to look like in practical terms. Instead of focus on hitting that number, you build a strategy around your specific goals and their associated cost. So here's a step-by-step process. Number 1, define your ideal retirement lifestyle with specific monthly expenses. You need to take some time here to visualize this. What does a week feel like? What am I doing during an individual day? What are my wants and what are my needs? Again, you also need to have emergency funds established at this point in time as well. What current expenses do you have while you're working that are going to disappear in retirement? You're not going to need to save anymore, but is commuting costs going away as well? This is step 1, really figure out what your costs are going to be and siphon those things into needs and wants. Again, this is part of our Red Zone retirement planning process, and I talk about this extensively in my book. Step 2, you need to create an income floor to cover essential expenses that you have. This is exactly what I just talked about, is getting your needs covered by fixed income sources. So getting your food, shelter, clothing, basic living expenses covered by fixed income sources. Then you have to examine what is the gap between what my wants are and my needs are. So step 3 is to design a flexible strategy for that discretionary spending for those wants. And you need to have enough cash on hand to fund this if there's a down market as well. Some things you should be thinking about is how can growth-oriented investments be matched to fund those wants? And lastly, this is very important, you have to schedule regular lifestyle goal reviews to ensure that your financial strategy remains relevant based upon the current stock market and current tax and political situation that we're in. Now that you understand why the traditional retirement number approach doesn't make any sense, you can see how focusing on your specific lifestyle goals creates much more reliable retirement clarity. By implementing our Red Zone retirement planning strategy, you can determine your actual retirement needs and create a personalized strategy that will provide you with real confidence. Not just based on an arbitrary number, but on knowing your specific needs and how they will be covered. If you're ready to implement our Red Zone retirement planning approach in your own retirement planning, but you want some personalized guidance, click the first link in the description below and fill out the questionnaire. I've put this together for you personally, and after you fill it out, I'll send you a video breaking down what goal you should be hitting based upon your individual needs. I'll see you on the next one. This podcast is for educational purposes only and may include references to concepts that have legal and or tax implications. It's not to be construed as legal or tax advice. Such information or opinions is subject to change without notice and is not intended to use as an offer or solicitation with respect to the purchase or sale of any security, insurance products, or offer of individual investment advice. Any strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc. does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your appropriate professional regarding your personal situation prior to making any financial decisions. Securities and advisory services offered through Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Riser Insurance is not affiliated with Mutual of Omaha Investor Services. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Diversification does not guarantee a profit or protection lost against loss in a declining market. Purchase of life insurance is subject to meeting underwriting requirements. There is no guarantee of an individual will be insured. Annuities are long-term investments designed for retirement purposes. Withdrawals of taxable amounts are subject to income tax, and if taken prior to 59.5, a 10% federal penalty tax may apply. Guarantees are backed by the claims paying ability of the issuer and are subject to their terms and conditions.